Hello everyone, welcome to Ayıptır Söylemesi. Today we are joined by Kirsty Gutso, a highly sought after fitness trainer, coach, and Nike master trainer who has made it her life's mission to inspire and empower people around the world to take control of their health and well-being. Welcome Kirsty. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's a really big pleasure and I'm so grateful. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling so lucky to be here and to share in the energy of Istanbul. It's honestly insane. And it's my second time here and it still blows me away. The energy that people bring to the workouts and the enthusiasm, and I so appreciate it.
Do you see cats all around streets?
Okay, so I'm a self-proclaimed crazy cat lady. So every cat that we see, I'm like, oh my God, a cat. And it's like they're everywhere, but yeah. I love it.
Yeah, our cats are famous here. So your approach to fitness is unique, I think, in that you believe movement is more than just an exercise or sport. Like it's a fundamental part of our lives and your life that can help us achieve greater physical, mental, and emotional health. So in this episode, we will be diving deep into your life story and your approach to movement and fitness and your ideas about holistic fitness and, of course, Hope Algazar's new experience, Reset. So you have an incredibly inspiring life story. I read it and listened to it before I come here. That has taken you from your roots in New Zealand to becoming a world-famous fitness trainer and coach and also an entrepreneur. So I think your journey has been marked by resilience and determination and unwavering commitment to your goals. So can you tell us more about your background and how you first become interested in fitness for our listeners?
Well, thank you so much. You're very sweet. And I'd love to hire you to write my bios from here on forward. I'm really fortunate that I grew up in New Zealand. There's not much to do there other than sport. So I kind of threw myself into every sport possible while I was in school. And I actually got into fitness in an interesting way. I had a knee surgery at 15. I used to do motocross with my brother and we had a bad crash one day. So it resulted in a pretty significant knee surgery. And I remember the doctor saying there was a lot of things that I wouldn't be able to do, like running. I still can't do skiing, but there was many things that they said, you can't do this and, you should take your rehab seriously. So I'm very disciplined and A-type, so I took my rehab very seriously, but that's what took me into the gym. And I was like, oh, the gym's pretty cool. Like, I don't really like the branding in here, and I think it feels a bit stuffy, and there's a lot of men, but like, I liked the gym. Yeah. So once I went to university, I did a double business degree in finance and marketing. My entire university timetable was scheduled around the gym and my favorite classes at the gym. And I always, since I was young, I actually had American neighbors in New Zealand. So I would see their magazines and I saw their clothing. And that was, I think, how I first fell in love with Nike. And I'd tell my parents, I was like, I'm going to work for Nike one day. And they're like, sure. Like, people would be like, I'm going to be an actress. And I really
Manifestation.
I really wanted to work in marketing at Nike. So, when I graduated, I actually dropped my resume off to Nike in New Zealand, who have like 6 employees. So it went nowhere. But I was more and more obsessed with the gym. And the more time that I spent there, I really observed the opportunity. I was like, this isn't a great space for women. And this isn't necessarily the space that I'd like it to be for anyone. I just felt like it was very transactional. It had quite a bodybuilder vibe. And the verbiage used with training was very, it's all about weight loss, but for me it was really just about how my mood was and my confidence. So I started to work for a fitness company in marketing, and I pitched an idea about challenging the concepts of what we see in gyms. And that was funny because I still only had the ambition of working in marketing.
What year was this?
This was in 2011. And then I ended up studying to become a trainer on the side and got certified in all their group fitness classes. And then I was just meant to be a fill-in to teach these high intensity classes while we kind of looked for someone that would be the face of this program. But we kind of realized like, you should be the face because you're the one that is driving this whole project. You're not just the brand manager. And then the irony was that was how Nike found me, was teaching in the gym, because we were doing something very different with the structure of the classes. They were all backed by science, and scientists in the States were, and professors at universities were running test results on, we'd wear heart rate monitors and really like making sure that these high intensity classes we were building were scientifically delivering. So there was that one aspect of it, but also the way that we would speak about fitness and the branding that we would do with it was very different. So yeah, it was just so funny that that was how Nike found me. And I didn't even know what a Nike trainer was. I didn't even know there was such a thing, because this was in 2012.
Yeah.
And then so I joined Nike early 2013. So it's crazy. It's been over 10 years now, but I still feel like there's more work to do. And that's why it's important to come to places like Istanbul, you know, and other places around the world to see how people are experiencing fitness and the challenges they might have with feeling empowered to work out how they want and when they want and where they want.
I think it's all different, like the countries looking like fitness. For example, in Istanbul, you should see that people more see like I want to lose weight, I want to run, etc. But it's all different in cultural aspects. So speaking about New Zealand, I want to focus on like how has your cultural background influenced your approach to fitness and health, and how has it shaped the way you work with people today?
Both of my parents were golfers, and I think that golf requires so much discipline and patience.
It's an interesting sport.
It's an yes, I agree. I don't love golf personally. It's very slow, and if you've done any of my workouts, you know that slow is not my favorite tempo. But it was interesting too, because my mum was a better golfer than my dad, and I think perhaps that first positioned the idea in my brain of women leading. And it's probably why they divorced. But I really, and my mum is a golf coach now, so maybe that's where I also got kind of the coaching mentality. But I think it was probably from witnessing that early on and seeing my dad support my mum, that women could do and could lead. And, you know, New Zealand is, it's a really special place. Some people think it's fake. They're like, New Zealand doesn't exist, you know.
I'm really curious.
It's interesting, you know. It's gorgeous, but there's not much to do there. So a lot of people, if you're ambitious, you have this. You're really driven because you want to go. You want to do something bigger, and you want to kind of do something. Take what you believe in from there and take that around the world. So I think that's what gives you this insane drive, because, you know, it's a peaceful life if you stay there.
So you build your own road. From starting from New Zealand.
And it's a really healthy place. You know, it's so normal for kids to play sport. You eat well, and you enjoy the outdoors a lot. Like, it's a very active lifestyle. So I think I'm super fortunate that I grew up just having that be part of my day-to-day. Yeah.
So you have a huge following on social media with thousands of people turning to you for inspiration and guidance on their fitness journeys. So I want to ask, how do you navigate the pressures and responsibilities of being a public figure? Because even I, with my like 3,000 followers, I really feel that pressure, and I want to know how you do that.
It's definitely changes as you get older, you know, and I think there's been times where maybe someone would write a nasty comment and that would like ruin my whole week.
Yeah.
And I think now I have enough, you know, control where I'm like, well, I feel sad for them that they feel that way, but I try and just use my social media as a platform to share things, to give access to everyone, you
Inspire.
know. Yeah, and just teach people things. I don't want it to be like, hey, here's the quickest way to lose weight, or I don't promise like this is the best thing for your abs. I don't like clickbait conversation. And I know that
and it's all everywhere on
it's
TikTok.
everywhere, and it performs well. Listen, I have an issue with TikTok because people see a formula that works and then they all try copy it, and it's not original and it's not necessarily what they care about. So I would rather have less views and engagement on something, but be speaking honestly to people about something to do with nutrition or training, and like and making it useful. And I think that's a way to really cultivate an honest and deep, loyal relationship with your followers, because you're just there to help them. And, you know, sometimes people stop me and they're like, you know, you taught me how to glute activate and it really changed my running. And that genuinely makes me so happy.
Yeah.
I would rather have that conversation with them than promise them, you know, a bigger booty in 6 days or something crazy.
Lose weight in 3 days.
Yeah. I just think that's such a cheap way to talk about fitness.
Yeah. Exactly. And TikTok is a really toxic place for that.
Yeah. I don't think TikTok does huge things for people's confidence.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're known for your unique approach to fitness, which emphasizes movement as a fundamental part of our lives rather than just exercise or sport. So, can you explain more about what you mean by this and why you believe it's so important to put this in our lives?
I just think movement is so multifaceted. It is beyond perhaps the Pilates class that you do or high intensity or anything. It's about these routines and disciplines and practices you have in your life. And that might be your mindfulness. It might be rest. It might be socializing with your friends. And it's funny because one of my favorite things to do is what I call a sanity walk. And it's a walk at the end of the day. And honestly, on a busy day, that might be the only exercise that I get, which might not be what people expect, but for me, I understand. I'm like, wow, this is exactly what I needed today. So it's paying attention to these little details in your life, and I think having movement, whatever that means to you, or how you like to support yourself, whether it's a walk, whether it's a class, whether it's doing breath work, and having it as this anchor in your life to really support you through. You're always going to have ups and downs with your mood and stress with work and life and relationships. But movement can always be there for you. And I like to say to people, I'm like, movement isn't judging you. Yeah. Like, we get so stressed out if we miss a day in the gym or we feel guilty and all these things, but it's not judging you saying, oh, you weren't here. You don't care about this. It's like kind of just always waiting there. And I think it's about having enough discipline and respect for yourself to turn up in the moments you need to turn up, but also having understanding for yourself that you're like, hey, maybe it's a calm day today and I need to focus on my sleep.
Yeah. My experience with fitness and movement was like that too. I always forced myself to, go to fitness class or Pilates or dance. But after pandemic, it changed really. In pandemic, I really try not to force myself and go to walks, do a dance in my room.
Yeah.
And it's now better with me and my body.
I think there was a peacefulness that came amongst some of the chaos of the pandemic because people realized there was so much self-applied pressure.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to be that way to get results. It's really about being honest with yourself, and there is a gracefulness that comes as you transition through different ages of what your body needs during that stage.
Yeah.
Like, I realize now in my early 30s that like I really need more sleep than I used to think, and like that might mean a little less high intensity, and I'm okay with that.
How many hours do you sleep?
Listen, I moved to LA, so my sleep improved dramatically. I used to sleep on average about 5.5 hours in New York, and moving to LA, I'm not here to brag, but I might clock in an 8-hour sleep most nights, which is amazing.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love sleep too.
It's just so important, and it's a huge part of our training that people often don't. We don't want to focus on what we think might be the boring moments, and they're not the Instagram-worthy moments. It's sleeping. It's like really paying attention to your nutrition and recovery and taking care of your body. If you want the most out of your body, you have to pay attention to those details.
Yeah, exactly. So speaking of sleeping, I want to talk about Reset. So while we are here, I think we should also talk about that new experience Hope Alcazar have. And it's an immersive journey where you can experience the 5 pillars of fitness at Hope Alcazar and focus on what is good for your body and mind, and remember the healing power of movement. And Reset is a multidimensional experience designed to stimulate your senses, I think I can explain like this. So what do you think about this experience? How was your 2 days here?
It was awesome. Honestly, Hope Alcazar is such a sanctuary, and I'm actually a bit jealous that we don't have this in the States. I would love to have somewhere to come like this, but it's really special because I think they're driving the important message that we're hoping people will understand, of taking better care of themselves and getting scope on wellness and what that means as a whole, and learning how to do it. Perhaps there's practices they've never tried before.
Yeah.
I always say to people, I'm not a meditator, but I enjoy breath work, which is actually a huge part of meditation, so maybe I am meditating. Maybe I'm meditating when I walk. I'm not sure. So I think that Reset is going to be a really special opportunity for people to connect and find new ways that they're not working on their wellness and do it in a community sense.
Yeah, it will change everyone's ideas, I think, after coming here.
And it's fun.
Yeah, exactly.
You dance and like remembering that workouts should be fun. They don't always have to be so structured. Like, it shouldn't be horrible. I get it. Not every workout is going to be really enjoyable, but there should be elements of fun. That's really important.
Exactly. So how do you reset yourself when you're burnout?
Well, I can tell you a lot about burnout because I've been there a few times. I like to go to the beach and swim in the ocean. That really resets me more than anything else. But honestly, it's simple things like sleeping, cooking my own food, getting enough quiet time, being in nature, sometimes just being with my friends. But it's pretty simple. I think New Zealand has a really small population, so sometimes I stress when I'm overwhelmed, and I'm like, no, that's normal. You didn't grow up like with this many people around you all the time. Especially when I moved to New York, I was like, oh man, I'm not cut out for this. There's so much happening. But really just dialing it back and finding some peace and quiet. I love doing yoga at my house because I sometimes just want to have that experience. My friends are great. Like they teach online or I'll use the Nike app, and it's a great way to like slow down without having to be stimulated by the people around you. And I think that's what's awesome about the NTC app or the workouts being on Netflix is sometimes you really want to work out, but you're not ready for all the extra energy of other people around you. So you can kind of do it in the comfort of your home and the comfort of your own peace and quiet.
Yeah, exactly. So now we have a little game. It's this or that, and I will give you options and you will answer without thinking. Ready?
Yes.
Bodyweight exercises or weightlifting?
Weightlifting.
Group fitness classes or solo workouts?
Both.
No, you have to choose.
Group fitness.
Okay. Breath working or journaling?
Breath work.
High-tech fitness gadgets or minimal equipment?
Minimal equipment.
Music or silence during workouts?
Music.
Okay, that was it. So do you have playlists for workouts?
I love rap music.
Of course.
I really love rap and hip hop, but I have I actually made this playlist for everyone for my sanity walks, and it's like a lot more like kind of happy and upbeat, sometimes a little sad, a bit of emotional Frank Ocean, and I think it's important to kind of go through highs and lows with music as well. And I also think it's really good to walk or move in silence sometimes, not be too driven by music and just know that you can be there with your thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. So the concept of holistic fitness is something you talked about, and it's a key part of your approach to health and wellness. So for our listeners who may not be familiar with this term, can you explain what it means to you?
Well, there's many descriptions out there about holistic health and wellness, but for how I like people to understand is it's kind of just you're being there for yourself a little bit more and dialing into what you need. Everyone's body is so unique, and that's actually a superpower. That's really special. You'll often get people come with goals and they show you pictures of someone else or someone else's routine, and I'm like, that's great, that's that person, but you are your own person, which is special. And holistic fitness is a cool way where you can fine tune and find ways that work for your body, whether that be with your nutrition or your well-being, like how many days you work out, how many days you rest, how do you recover. And I just think it takes a more honest approach and a personalized approach, and it ideally is less stressful because you feel confident within the journey that you're on. And we're all going to go through different phases with fitness where we want to be super structured and crazy and stuff, but I think holistic fitness has a lot of longevity in it, and we want to ideally move for as long as we can in our lives. So I think it's a pretty special thing.
So as I understand, it's like more than just physical health, and it encompasses mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being as well.
Yes.
So, and as you said, rest and recovery are also crucial components of holistic fitness. Can you explain why these elements are so crucial in our fitness routines?
Yeah, like even for me, like my mental health component might be part of a rest day, you know, just being like, hey, I'm really stressed out at the moment. I just need to let my body and my mind chill. Or for my mental health, it might be like, oh man, I need to go on a run and just clear the air, you know? And like I say, take a lap. And that's for me to just kind of actually run something out. But rest and recovery are undeniable because you can overwork your body as much as you want, but it'll bite you back in other ways. And that then drags on with your mental health as well. So I think people are shocked often when they slow down a little bit, how much happier they feel, especially for women, the way that stress shows up in our body through inflammation and you know, gut issues or bloating, and it often just comes back. It's a mental, like, we are so stressed, and the gut is the second brain of our body, and the more calm we can find, which comes through some of that rest and recovery, not being at reformer Pilates every day or high intensity every day. So that's why it's important. You think about like a whole circle.
Yeah.
You know, you just need to listen to your body more than you talk at it. I think we're professional talkers at our body, but if you pay attention, your body is talking to you all the time. It tells you when it doesn't like food. It tells, you know, but we get so pushy with our agenda of what we want our body to be, rather than working on the same team as our body. And I think the moment you can get people to understand that and get the right momentum within themselves, you see a huge advantage with their mental health, but also their physical goals and their performance.
Yeah, I will do this also. Yeah. So, as I said at the beginning, you're also an entrepreneur. Can you talk more about your brands, maybe, to our listeners? What you do?
Yeah, so I have a protein powder company called Made Of, and this is a New Zealand grass-fed whey isolate. Obviously, New Zealand has the best dairy in the world. But when I moved to America, I was pretty horrified at how much companies can lie on packaging. New Zealand has very clean food. I noticed when I moved to the States, my body definitely didn't feel as good. My energy was off. Nutrition is so important. It really dictates a lot of your mental and physical health. So I wanted to create Made Of as a call to action for people to understand what their food is made of. And I do not count calories. I have never counted calories. Even when I was keto, I don't look at fat, carbs, sugars. I look at ingredients. And so the whole goal with Made Of was, even if you do not buy my protein or you can't buy it, trying to get it into more countries, but it's hard, was that you would learn to read ingredients. And I really love, people will send me packaging. Sometimes they're like, I know this isn't Made Of, but can you read this for me? And I love that, because that's the goal, is that they would just pay attention. I just want people to feel better, and I want people to feel confident with their food choices and not feel difficult or, you know, I think food's a super controversial topic. People get really upset really quickly with food, but you have to remember it's your body and you should treat it how you want. And the more you can pay attention to things that matter, like ingredients matter a lot more than reading calories, because ingredients are going to dictate the processes that happen within your body. And so the more that you can understand what you're putting in your body and how you're fueling it, the more you're going to get out of it. So that's Made Of. And then I have Pyro Girls. Pyro Girls is like my alter ego. It started in New York. It was my friend Lauren and I. She ended up having a pyro baby, and she moved to Canada, but she's awesome. She was probably one of the best strength coaches I'd ever met. And then I was a high intensity fanatic. And so we combined the two into a workout that was called Pyro Girls, and we're teaching it in New York. And we really had no expectation. We just wanted it to be an outlet for people to come. And we had men come too, but they had to call themselves a Pyro Girl. And we loved when men wore the Pyro Girl sweaters. But it was, you know, New York is an incredibly stressful city. And we realized how much people needed certain types of workouts just to go home and feel like a better person, or to like rinse some of the day off. So that was how Pyro Girl started. And our tagline is highly flammable, no smoking, please. Everything's kind of fire themed for me. And then what was cool about that was when I did my first programs for Nike, they really sort of lent on pyro. So I have a program called Burn. I have another program called Ignite. We talk a lot about spicy and hot sauce and things like that. But I wanted a workout that was men and women can do it, but it's Pyro Girls is the community. We sometimes abbreviate to Pyro. And it really was just designed to make people feel good. And it was kind of the first, I think without realizing, it was very much movement directed at mental health, but in a structured way. You know, it's like, there's a lot of workout classes, you know, people love Soul Cycle, but it's, you know, an interesting community. And I think it was cool because the people that would come in, you just felt the energy in the room, and you would see them leave like a different person, like they took a mask off. Yeah. So it's been fun to teach Pyro Girls in other places. And the goal would be that Pyro Girls is kind of outreaches into other communities, especially to support women. And especially, you know, that's why I love coming to Istanbul. I think the work even Nike has done here when we came for the NTC tour years ago and challenged the rules around women working out outside.
Exactly.
By having a workout in the middle of the sea and having celebrating women working outside, wearing whatever they wanted, which was very provocative at the time.
That's what we're trying to do.
Well, we have to keep doing it. And I think that's what's awesome about this space too. It's like really empowering females to feel their best.
Yeah, exactly.
I think feel over look is always my favorite thing about movement. I always ask people, I'm like, how does that feel? I don't really care. Someone might say, oh, I look like blah, blah. I'm like, okay, but how do you feel? And I think that's what Hope Alcazar is really focusing on through Reset, is helping people feel better.
You can get the positive energy from coming here. Yeah, so we are unfortunately coming to the end of our podcast, but before finishing, we have a traditional question we ask to our guests. I told you. Are you ready?
Yes.
But first, I can explain the question because it's so Turkish for our foreign listeners also. So the question is, tell us something shameful, but in Turkish, normally our guests will go like, ayıptır söylemesi, and then tell a sentence that might be considered inappropriate or embarrassing for some people, but actually is not. For example, as I said to you, ayıptır söylemesi, I love going outside without a bra, or ayıptır söylemesi, I am an independent, powerful woman. So now I want you to start with ayıptır söylemesi and add a sentence that you want to confess to the whole world. Stage is yours.
I'm going to do my best pronunciation.
Yeah. I can...
Yeah.
Okay. Ayıptır söylemesi.
Ayıptır söylemesi.
Yeah.
Close? Better? Can I do better? One more time.
Ayıptır
Ayıptır
söylemesi.
söylemesi. Ayıptır söylemesi. I'm an empowered woman.
Yeah, exactly. Great. Thank you for the pronunciation also.
I really matters. You know, I don't like to get it wrong.
Yeah, but it's a hard word to say, so.
Well, next time, I'm going to practice that now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much, Kirsty. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today. And we are so grateful for the insights and the wisdom you have shared with us today. And before we finish, for our listeners who want to learn more about your work and how they can start to incorporate your approach to fitness into their lives, where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at Kirsty Godso. You can find me on the Nike Training Club app, and you can find the Nike Training Club workouts now on Netflix.
Yeah.
And I just want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I think it's incredible what you're doing. Young women deserve this kind of encouragement and support, and I'm here for all of you also. So
We know.
feel free to send me ingredient lists if you want, or any fitness questions. But I believe in you, and I just want you guys to all believe in yourself too.
Thank you. Thank you again, and thank you to our listeners for tuning in. We hope this episode has inspired you to think differently about movement, fitness, health, and to consider incorporating some of Kirsty's ideas and approaches into your own life. Until next time, stay well and keep moving. Love you. Bye.